Welcome back. Episode 37. Get out of the comparison spiral. Build your lane. Dominate it. You're on the train home, earbuds in, thumb hovering over Instagram or LinkedIn. You're tired, a little numb from the day. You tell yourself you're just going to catch up. And then it starts. Someone just announced a promotion. Someone else launched their own studio. A friend is suddenly speaking at conferences. Another is on a beach in a country you can't even spell without thinking. Your body is still on the train, but your mind is gone. It's in the comparison spiral. Welcome back to Pivot Era, the quiet corner of the world where we talk about career pivots, Gen Z work identity, and the emotional side of building a life that feels like yours. Today, we're talking about how to step out of the comparison spiral and how to build your lane, then slowly, gently, master it. Not by hustling harder than everyone else, but by paying deeper attention to yourself. Let's sit with this train moment for a second. What actually happens in those scrolls isn't just, I'm jealous. It's more like, did I mess up my career pivot? Am I behind? Should I be doing what they're doing? Maybe I'm not that talented. Underneath the comparison is something softer and more fragile. Fear that you chose wrong. Fear that you're not enough. Fear that there won't be room for you. That's where imposter syndrome loves to hang out. In those quiet, private corners where you measure yourself against someone else's highlight reel and conclude, I'm losing. So let's start here, gently. You're not lost. You're just looking in the wrong lane. Let's imagine and think about a running track. If you stare sideways the whole time, watching how fast the person in lane 3 is moving, what shoes lane 5 is wearing, how relaxed lane 7 looks, you will 100%, no ifs or buts, slow yourself down. Not because you're less capable, but because your attention is everywhere except your own body, your own rhythm, your own path. The comparison spiral is basically sideways attention. It's you forgetting what race you're actually in. So, the first step to getting out of it isn't unfollow everyone or pretend you don't care. It's this. Name the race you're actually running. Give it a go, as this is meant to be simple. Sticking with simple, here's a 3-part framework you can come back to when you feel yourself spiraling. 1. Define your lane. 2. Narrow your scoreboard. 3. Practice your reps. Let's walk through them slowly. So 2. Define your lane is a mix of what you're good at, what you're curious about, and what feels emotionally sustainable for you. You don't need to have your whole purpose figured out. You just need a working definition for this season. Ask yourself, what problems do I actually enjoy solving? What type of work leaves me tired but satisfied, not drained and resentful? When people come to me for help, what do they usually ask about? Maybe your lane is kind of like a great project manager who makes chaos feel calm. Ever met one of those? You'll definitely notice when you do. Maybe it's visual storyteller who uses design to make ideas click. Maybe it's bridge builder between tech and humans, helping people understand AI and creativity in a way that doesn't feel scary. Your lane doesn't need a fancy title. It just needs to be true. Once you define that, even roughly something shifts. Because now, when you see someone else winning in a lane that isn't yours, you can say, oh, that's their race. I can clap for them and still stay in mine. Told you. We are keeping this simple. So, what might your lane be for the next 6-12 months? Not forever, just this chapter. If a phrase comes to mind, even something messy, hold on to it. That's a seed. Next, for number 2, we're gonna narrow your scoreboard. Most of us are using a broken scoreboard. That's because we're tracking salary, title, follower count, how fast things happen, how cool our life looks from the outside. And of course, we feel like we're losing when the game is rigged, especially in labor markets that are unprecedented. Remember that. So, to build your lane and dominate it, you need a personal scoreboard. Then, try choosing 3 metrics. They have to actually matter to you in this season. For example, did I learn something new this week? Did I start something, even small, instead of just thinking about it? Did I move 1 inch closer to work that feels aligned with who I am? Or, if you're in a career pivot, your metrics might be number of conversations you've had with people in the new field, hours spent practicing or building a portfolio, how often you feel proud of the person you're becoming, not just the work you're doing. When you open social media and feel that comparison spike, try asking, does this even belong on my scoreboard? If the answer is no, you get to drop it. You get to decide and note to self, Their metrics are for their lane. Yours are different. And for number 3, practice your reps. Here's the part nobody likes to hear. You don't dominate your lane by thinking about it. Yeah, I know it's obvious, but we don't always do this, so it needs to be called out. You dominate it by doing ordinary reps over and over until they feel like breathing. If your lane is writing, your reps might be 30 minutes of messy drafts before work. If your lane is community building, your reps might be reaching out to one person a day with a genuine message, or if your lane is product design, your reps might be one small design challenge each week. Not everything has to be great. Not everything has to be public. Some of the most powerful reps happen off-screen, in the quiet. Ask yourself, what are the boring reps that would move me forward if I did them for 6 months? How can I make those reps tiny enough that I can do them even on my tired days? Because that's usually the difference between people who look like they're ahead across many generations, Gen Z work, and everyone else. Not talent, not luck. Just consistent, unglamorous reps in a lane they chose and stayed loyal to. They decided. And here's the secret. Once you start doing your reps, comparison gets quieter, not because you never feel it, you're human, but because you're busy. Busy learning, busy creating, busy becoming someone you actually respect. Now, let's tie this all together. When you feel the comparison spiral start to spin, maybe later tonight or maybe tomorrow, try this 60-second check-in. 1. Pause the scroll. Literally, thumb off the screen. 2. Breathe and name it. I'm comparing, I feel behind. 3. Ask yourself, what lane am I in this season? Say it out loud if you can. If it feels awkward, and it will, that's only to you, it's okay. Just keep going. 4. Then consider, what's one tiny rep I could do this week that belongs to my lane? 5. Decide I'm allowed to cheer for them and still run my own race. You don't have to unfollow everyone. You don't have to disappear from the internet. You just have to remember that your life is not a group project. You can appreciate someone else's chapter without editing your own story to match it. So, before we close, I want to speak to the part of you that feels late. The part that thinks, if I haven't figured out my purpose by now, maybe I never will. Actually, you are not behind. The Pivot Era podcast exists because so many of us are in this in-between space, experimenting, changing, starting over, healing from old expectations. You are allowed to build slowly. You are allowed to pivot more than once. You are allowed to choose depth over speed. Your lane will become clearer as you walk it. You don't need the whole map to take the next step. Maybe tonight, instead of spiraling through everybody else's updates, you write down your 3 personal metrics. You sketch one sentence that describes your lane for this season. You choose one rep you'll start tomorrow. And when the comparison comes back, because it will, maybe louder than ever too, you remind yourself, I'm not here to win their race. I'm here to keep showing up for mine. This is Pivot Era, a soft place to land when you're tired of measuring yourself against everyone else. You're just building a lane that was never meant to look like anyone else's. That's why you're not behind. So, believe it and feel it for yourself. That's how I started Pivot Era. And to think, I'm planning for season 2. It all started with my one small rep. And yours can too. Thank you for sharing a few quiet minutes with me today. This is an AI voice-powered podcast shared by humans who simply want to connect across generations and normalize the art of starting again. New episodes drop every Wednesday and Sunday. Share it with someone who's navigating their own pivot or who needs to hear that beginnings aren't failures. They're growth.